Hi guys, I'm Sarah from Somatic Movement Center. I'm a clinical somatic educator and I teach people how to relieve their chronic pain by releasing their muscle tension and retraining their posture and movement patterns. Today I'm going to talk about pelvic torsion or twisted pelvis. This is the misalignment that occurs when one coxal bone or hip bone is tipped forward or backward in relation to the other one. So one hip bone could be rotated forward while the other is rotated backward. Or one hip bone could be rotated forward while the other is in a neutral upright position. Or one hip bone could be rotated backward while the other is in a neutral upright position. If chronic muscle tension is keeping your pelvis stuck in this twisted position, the misalignment can affect the movement and patterns of muscle tension in your entire body and can often result in pain. Some of the other patterns of misalignment and types of pain that tend to occur along with pelvic torsion include misalignment and pain in the hips, knees, and ankles, functional leg length discrepancy, pelvic rotation, lower back pain, idiopathic scoliosis, SI joint dysfunction and pain, iliotibial band syndrome, sciatica, iliopsoas syndrome, and snapping hip syndrome. So now I want to talk about the pattern of muscle tension that causes pelvic torsion. On the side of the pelvis in which the hip bone is tipped forward, the hip flexors are chronically tight. These muscles tip the hip bone forward when you're standing up. On this side, the muscles that extend or arch the lower back are also tight. Now, on the side of the pelvis in which the hip bone is tipped backward, the internal and external obliques and the psoas major are chronically tight. The obliques are working to tip the coxal bone backward, like you're doing a standing crunch and rounding your lower back. The psoas major, with its attachments to the lumbar spine and lesser trochanter of the femur bone, is working to do the same thing. The psoas major is typically tight on both sides if you have pelvic torsion. The other muscles involved will determine whether the hip tips forward or backward. If you have one hip tipped forward or backward and the other is in a neutral upright position, it's still likely that you have chronically tight muscles on the neutral side. That side has to constantly work to stabilize the pelvis and compensate for the forward or backward rotation of the other side. So why do our muscles become tight enough to cause pelvic torsion? And why does it happen to some people and not others? Well, the movement and level of contraction of our muscles is controlled by our nervous system. The way that our muscles move and how much we keep them contracted is actually learned over time by our nervous system. Our nervous system learns certain ways of using our muscles based on how we choose to sit, stand, and move every day. Our nervous system notices the postures and movements that we tend to repeat, and it gradually makes these postures and movements automatic so that we don't have to consciously think about them. This learning process, which is developing muscle memory, allows us to go through the activities in our daily lives easily and efficiently. Unfortunately, if we tend to repeat unnatural postures or movements, our nervous system will learn those too. Our automatic neuromuscular learning process doesn't choose between what is good or bad for us. It just notices what we tend to repeat and makes it automatic. The muscular patterns that cause pelvic torsion can be caused by repetition of normal daily activities, like carrying your bag on the same side every day or sitting with your legs crossed in the same position. They can also be caused by athletic training, especially types that involve a lot of lower body movements and hip flexion, like soccer or dance. As your nervous system gradually learns to keep your muscles tight, gamma loop activity will adapt. This feedback loop in your nervous system regulates the level of tension in your muscles. As your brain keeps sending the message to contract your muscles, gamma loop activity adapts and starts keeping your muscles tight all the time. Meanwhile, your proprioception, which is your internal sense of your body position, adapts too. So as your nervous system gradually starts holding your pelvis in a rotated position, it will feel to you like it's aligned correctly. Your proprioception also adapts to the increased level of tension in your muscles, so you won't be aware that your muscles are gradually getting tighter and tighter. So if you're familiar with clinical somatics, you know we use the movement technique of pandiculation to release chronic muscle tension and retrain learned postural patterns. Pandiculation reduces the resting level of tension in your muscles being set by your nervous system, and it allows you to retrain your muscle memory. If you're not familiar with pandiculation, you can read my article, What is Pandiculation?, which is on my website, and I'll link to it below as well. And you can also listen to my new podcast on Spotify, the Soma Podcast. The second episode is about pandiculation. On my website, I have an article about pelvic torsion, and in the article, I give specific suggestions about which clinical somatics exercises you should practice if you have pelvic torsion. Some of them you can practice equally with both sides, and I also describe how you can practice certain exercises more with your right or left side, depending on your pattern of pelvic torsion. I'm linking to this article in the video description below as well. It's also important that you either watch my video called How to Even Out the Imbalances in Your Body, or read my article with the same name. This article and video give essential advice that you should follow when you're tailoring your clinical somatics practice to address the imbalances in your muscular patterns. And if you want to learn more about how clinical somatics works, you can read my book, The Pain Relief Secret, which is available on Amazon, and you can visit my website, somaticmovementcenter.com. Thanks for watching.